Hey everybody, welcome to the Aberration Alley Hip Hop Podcast for business and news. We are here with a brand new season. We've been gone for a minute and a lot of crazy stuff has been going on, but we're going to cover all of it throughout the season with a few different guests. The first guest we got here is an amazing guy. We're going to introduce him shortly. Right now, we want to pay our respects to MF Doom, whose news of passing away was released on New Year's Eve, unfortunately. Passed away back in October. He's a legend, a lot of people's top 10, and we felt it was only right to acknowledge it because it's such a huge moment in hip hop. Jay, do you want to say anything about Doom?
Um, I would be lying if I said I was like a big fan of him,
Hmm.
prior to his untimely passing. But anybody who's well acquainted or even partially acquainted with hip hop will have heard of MF Doom, so I know of his influence.
Hmm.
And naturally, after what happened to him happened, I got into his music, and I definitely see he lives up to, obviously, and surpasses every single like accolade that they gave him. So definitely lost a real one, a pioneer, a legend in the genre.
Yes, sir. And unfortunately, I was super. I'm a huge Doom fan, but he never really influenced my writing or anything like that. But what he did influence was my production side, that boom bap style, the way he sampled, the way he used audio montages. I love all of that, and that's where I get a lot of my production style.
Yeah, man, RIP.
Yes, sir. And I'm Antonio Ali Sayer. You can find me at My Name is Huda on Twitter and Instagram. We also have Jay Fortuna. Go ahead and introduce yourself, sir.
You already know J Fortuna, J Fortuna, yeah, at J Fortuna on Twitter, IG, Facebook, SoundCloud, um, every you already know. You guys know me
Yeah,
already.
yeah, you know the ritual by now. And according to
Yeah,
Complex Magazine, he's known as the face of two new fusion subgenres known as Grimehall and Traphall, with his most recent music videos having amassed nearly 200,000 views over the course of about 6 months. Please welcome to the podcast touring artist Mr. Royale, Fyah Royale. Go ahead and introduce yourself, sir.
Yeah, bang bang. I'm on the Fyah Roiall, you see me, out of Kingston, Jamaica. Yeah,
Yes,
feels
sir.
good to be on this platform. I'm excited to have this conversation. Let's go.
Yes,
yes,
sir. It's great to
sir.
have you. You want to give people your social media?
Oh yeah, you can find me everywhere, literally everywhere, except
Mhm.
Pornhub at Fyah Royal.
You know, it's so funny. It's so funny that you mentioned that because I've actually
It's,
considered releasing my music videos on Pornhub for the fun of
you
it.
get me? I mean, like, it's a good idea. I've been thought about it, but I'm like,
That's
But it
hilarious,
might hurt
bro.
the brand
you
a
get
little
me?
bit. It might.
So yeah, it's FYAH ROIALL. So it's Fire FYAH space ROIALL. And yeah, that's it. You can find me everywhere on Twitter. It's real Fire Royal, and
Mhm.
on Instagram it's Fire underscore Royal.
All right. Well, to start off the podcast, we wanted to have a fun little question. We told you guys we wanted you to get to know us better. So we decided to each pick our favorite song from the year that we were born. 1998, I decided to go with Beware by Big Pun. Are you guys familiar with it?
A little bit.
Beware. Big Pun. Big Pun died when I was like 6. I missed that whole thing. So I never really got into his music. But it's definitely an OG.
Well, it's a super dope track. It's one of my favorites. It's the second one on the album. The context of it, the reason I love it so much is because it comes right after the intro of like from a movie where they were talking about how the Punisher, obviously he's named after the Punisher from Marvel Comics, Big Pun,
Mhm.
and he's like is the best one. You take out all your favorite superheroes, all that, and then it comes in with this crazy like screeching sound in the beat, and all of a sudden a Mob Deep sample comes in, and you like it echoes out, and Pun just comes in and murders it.
Big Pun is definitely one of those guys, bro. Like,
Mm,
you got people who when they rap, you can tell like, okay, you feel me? They rap, and you feel
yeah,
me? This was really one of their, okay, let me show you guys like a rap type songs. But then you got people
exactly.
like Big Pun, like Kendrick, like you feel me, like that tier. Those people like
Yeah.
rap and it's effortless. Like it doesn't
Mhm.
seem like they ever struggled to write any of that magnificent stuff at all. They different.
Yeah, it's seamless. It's really smooth, and you kind of lose yourself in the rhyme patterns
Smooth
and the
and
way they write the
complex
beats.
too.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'm old. Oldish. I was born in '96, so you feel me? I had to go with Jigga that nigga Jay-Z, and
Yes,
I
sir.
chose The Evils from Reasonable Doubt. First of all, Jay-Z, I've always admired just how cool and calm like his persona as he raps is, and that song just shows it because it's like even though he's rapping about some pretty kind of gruesome stuff, like
Mhm.
the man just has a matter of fact attitude that just is so cool to me. Um, and man, you feel me? They don't really put Jay Z in the tier of like top storytelling rappers, but that song I got pretty up there for me because he does a lot of pretty cool things with drawing allusions from him growing up and then becoming enemies with some of the friends he used to grow up with. So
Yeah.
fire song all around.
All right, so my turn, yeah?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
First of all, y'all are mad young.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with The Chronic,
Mm,
Ah, okay, okay.
the song called Ain't Nothing But a G Thing with
yes,
Dr.
sir.
Dre and Snoop Dogg. That's in
Yes, of course.
1992.
Mm.
Classic, classic.
And what's the reason? What made you pick that song specifically?
The essence, man. You can't capture that essence ever
Mm.
again. Like ever.
So it's kind of seen as like a period piece to you.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
when that beat comes on and the samples come in and the there's no recreating that. I don't think even Dre can do that again.
Yeah.
You
It's
probably
just
can. That's true.
it was just fucking a magnificent piece of work. And then in comes Snoop Dogg, like 1, 2, 3 into
Three
the
to the
fuck.
power.
Snoop Dogg it, dog it, dog. The Dre is at the
Yeah.
yeah, just like easy. I think it's flawless.
Yeah.
And for me, music is about like essence rather than sound alone.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's about sound, but it's also about essence. Like, what am I feeling? What's the accent of this? What's the, you get me?
Yeah. Of
This man
course.
So,
preaching. He preaching.
you get me? So, it was
Yes,
about that
sir.
for me. There's no recreating that. You get me?
Yeah. Yeah. It's
So, I
like a
fuck with
one
that.
time thing. Yeah.
You see me?
Yeah. That's super dope. I love that. Yeah. It goes back to what we said because the way you talk about Snoop Dogg coming in, that effortlessness, I think that's something that amazed all three of us in our choices of just it seeming like it wasn't anything difficult for them. Like this is what they do. So.
Hmm.
The reason Fyah Roiall is here is because he just dropped his debut album, an incredible piece of work called Underrated. And man, I've got to give you props for it. Your rhyme schemes, insane.
Yeah.
That's probably the highlight of the album for me. And the production also really shines the way that the boom bapish drums kind of hit those heavy drums fused with the grime and the dance hall that you're known for at this point. So I wanted to ask what elements from grime and dancehall specifically do you look for in fusing? What did you decide to put together?
All right. So, it can vary, but for the most part, the hi hats and the synths are always from grime.
Hmm.
The bass is always from hip hop, and everything in the middle is dancehall.
Got it. So the
You get
melodies
me?
and counter melodies and such.
Yeah.
Got it.
And then like the rhyme schemes and like all the vocals and shit. That's just me
Yeah.
and like
Whatever
my
you feel
like
like doing in the moment.
yeah, basically. But as it relates to the sounds and the productions, I love the bass lines and everything well done. That's hip hop.
Hmm.
And there's no going around a well done 808
Yeah.
ever. And for grime, there's something about the synths and the hi hats, the
Yep.
yeah, that kind of shit. They use specific ones, and the BPM they never go over 140, and they never
Yeah.
go under 90. So it's either like 100, 135, 140, and the golden BPM is 140
Yeah. And do you think
for
that
grime.
BPM? Do you think
Yeah,
that
they don't.
BPM is a result of like the Jamaican influence, the island influence in the UK?
Yeah, definitely,
Super
definitely.
dope.
I found a way to blend all the best elements of everything that
Yeah.
that I like, and I'm basically creating a genre.
Super dope. And it's like to have these major publications credit you for it must be incredibly, like, it must be an incredible sense of validation. Am I right in that?
Yeah, it is. I mean, it's nice. It's nice. The validation, what me I look for though, the validation that I'm waiting for is like I wanna see other people do it now. I wanna see other
Yeah.
people make attempts at it. You get me?
That's
Yeah.
how you know you really started something.
You get me? That's
Yeah.
how I know I
Yeah.
started something.
I feel
You
like
get
you
me?
did it at like the perfect time because dancehall has been taken off for the past few years and it's reached like the global level. For it's been there for quite a while and it's had its huge, even bigger spurts from artists like Drake and things like that, um, and even wider recognition because of those artists picking it up. But I still feel like we've yet to see that that huge explosion that we saw hip hop have, and I'm waiting on it. I know it's coming, and I'm waiting on it. Do you agree that that it's gonna happen pretty soon, or that we haven't even seen it yet?
It's gonna happen when I blow up.
Nah, so you're gonna be the flagship essentially.
Yeah, like that ass. It's gonna happen when I blow up. Cause like, I mean, look around, look around, and I pay attention,
Hmm.
and I see common threads that lead to problems and issues that keep the thing stagnant. You feel me?
Hmm. And what do you think some of those issues might be?
And those things don't exist in me.
Nah.
I mean, it's a lack of discipline. It's a lack of discipline. It's insecurity, and when that insecurity is finally fed or made to like be suppressed, then it gets replaced with arrogance, and that arrogance throws them off balance. They don't see the vision anymore. They can't see past.
Past themselves.
Yeah.
You get me? And then it becomes a problem. You then make a fucking genre that is stuck in one place. You don't really want that. You get me? We need
Yeah.
more people. We need more people that are disciplined and understand the art, understand the craft, and are serious about it, and have like actual goals.
Yeah. So
And it's not
feel like people are content on a local level instead of trying to expand. Is that right?
exactly
Yeah.
pretty much. I mean, yeah, like a lot of them are cool with just being like, yeah, I'm hot in Jamaica. I'm nice. I got a
Yeah.
Benz now. I'm nice. I got this painting. She looks good. She got like 20,000 followers on Instagram. I'm nice.
Right.
Bullshit. Can I curse? I'm sorry.
Yes, of course.
Now you
Yeah,
good. You good.
you're good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's bullshit. Like I'm here, like, bruh, I'm trying to make fucking labels. I'm trying to make legacies. I'm trying to like start radio stations. I'm trying to start
Start
fucking
dynasties.
Yeah.
Yes,
dynasties, my
sir.
guy. I'm trying to open doors. I'm trying to like help people up. I'm not. I'm like. I'm barely anybody yet,
Hmm.
and I'm already producing niggas.
Yeah.
You feel
So
me?
that sounds like when you say you're producing people, does that mean that you got a major placement right now? Because that's what it sounds like.
I'm functioning as if.
Yeah.
You get me? I got a label right now. Shout out Easy Star. They're a New York-based label.
That's dope.
You get me? However, me producing other people is just me seeing people that I believe in. I'm like, okay, you can push the culture further. Okay, like you're thinking beyond what the typical artist is thinking. I want to get you in the studio. I want to get you in the booth, or I want you to hop on a song with me, or I want to plug you into someone that I think can help. You get me?
Yeah, of
Stuff like
course.
that. Because I think that's what's needed. We need we need we need to widen the vision, broaden the scope a little bit more, and try to see further.
Hmm.
You get me? It's like when I was in Australia, they were telling me things like, bro, do you have any idea that you're the first Jamaican to tour here?
Wow.
I've been to places where I've been to places where there have never been another Jamaican before.
Mhm.
And it's
Seriously,
not
in
like,
2020?
yeah, that ass.
That's crazy.
And
Yeah.
What the heck?
isn't it? And it's not like a lot of them aren't big. A lot of these artists are bigger than me that haven't been there, but they're not thinking about it.
Yeah.
Mm,
It's not a market to them.
It's not a market to them.
Yeah.
Huge.
mm.
So that's how does it feel to be able to be one of the first people in a whole nother country
He's a
pushing the
pioneer.
genre forward with it? Yeah. How does like what does that do to your mental state as an artist to be able to tour out there and people that have never really been exposed to this music being like, we love you?
It's humbling. It's
Yeah.
humbling. It makes me want to get quiet with myself and try to like remember what got me there in the first place.
Yeah.
Because I think when we forget, that's when the bullshit starts to hit the fan. When
Uh-huh.
you forget, it's like, oh, I got this rollie now. I'm the shit. But you forgot what got you the rollie. So you lose the thing that got you the thing that you're so hyped about.
Right.
You understand?
Yeah.
Sir.
Like, you
You
get me?
forget
It's
where you
like,
came
oh,
from.
you get me? You forget where you came from. So you lose the thing, you lose the drive that got you where you are.
Hmm.
I don't want to do that.
Mm.
You get me?
And that's always a
So it's
good
very,
thing. It's
yeah,
This
it's
man
super
preaches.
humbling for me.
And not even
Super
Sunday,
humbling
we
for me.
get in the sermon. That's beautiful.
right. So
No
you talked
thanks.
a lot about artists being arrogant and kind of thinking that they're all that and being content with being local. We have a similar thing that's been discussed recently in hip hop in the DMV area, where people are saying that in the DMV a lot more people are a lot more arrogant, like you said, a lot more stuck up, and a lot less willing to work with people because once they reach a certain level, like a couple thousand followers, they're good, they're better than you, they can pay charge tax for a feature, et cetera, or not even talk to you because you're not good enough. So in their eyes, so I wanted to ask, there's this, from what I understand outside looking in, there's a sense of community in dance hall where that it doesn't exist in hip hop and in grime. What seems like, is that accurate, or is it the same thing where everybody's trying to fight for the same spot?
There's a sense of community as it relates to cliques.
Mm,
I'm like, oh, you the homie because you homies with my homie. Or I'm good with you because you're good with a nigga that I'm good with.
yeah,
Type vibes. It's like sections. Who do you know? Who fucks with you?
right.
Who you fuck with? You get me? Type
Hmm.
vibes. And then there's that. Everyone's loyal to their set
Got it.
type vibes. And then there's everyone else in the middle that network back and forth between all of them. So there's that. And yeah, I think it's pretty accurate. There's a sense of community, but it's kind of like high school. You gotta
You
you
find
gotta
your
like,
table.
yeah, pretty
Yeah.
much. It's kind of like that. It's pretty much like that. Matter of fact, it's exactly like that.
So, have you received, having branched out and gone into a fusion genre, and creating one? Have you received any pushback from the dancehall community in those cliques saying that what are you doing? This isn't going to work, or what are you doing? Like this isn't
All,
traditional.
all the time.
What are some
Story of
things
my
that they
life,
try
bro.
to tell you?
Like story of my life. That's the whole point. You get me? That's the whole point. They're supposed to feel like that. They're supposed to say that.
Yeah,
I mean, and in the beginning, that's what drove me. I've been hearing that since high school, bro. Like, dog, this not gonna work. Rah rah rah. This
hmm,
ain't gonna work. Rah rah rah. And I'm like, cool, bet. You get
yeah,
me?
right, yeah, yeah,
That's the point. I mean, there's pushback. There's There's pushback because there's hesitance, and there's hesitance because there's a lack of understanding.
Hmm.
They don't know how to sell me in dance hall.
Yeah.
Oh,
Which is what they had a lot of
interesting.
issues with, a lot of iconic artists in different genres, like people that break the mold. Most famously, the first one that comes to mind to me was Ray Charles. Ray Charles, you weren't supposed to bring like fuse blues and gospel the way he did, and people didn't like
Exactly.
it. People
You
didn't
see
like it.
me?
People didn't think it would work.
But that's the thing. That's the thing. That's the thing about visions. No one sees it but you.
Hmm.
You gotta manifest the shit, and then they see the manifestation. When they see the manifestation, then they're gonna be like, "Oh,
This is
that's
what he
what's
was
up."
trying to do. Ah,
You get me?
Yeah.
mhm.
So now they're starting to see it. I'm starting to get like acknowledgement from like certain artists that I grew up listening to. You get me?
Mm.
Hmm.
Like Ja Vinci, Idonia, uh, Green Tea Peng follows me on Instagram.
Hmm.
Um, Wash Fire. It's just a bunch of it's time. It's just about time and consistency and like just knowing what you're on.
Hmm.
Deep,
Get me?
deep. That consistency has, yes, sir.
Find it surprising that people have so much pushback against the fusion of stuff like grime, hip hop, and dancehall, because dancehall and hip hop have a lot of parallels in terms of when they were first started from my research. So correct me if I'm wrong at any point in this, but it seems like Kingston is to dancehall what New York was to hip hop, in terms that it started in a public, as a public radio. People were just playing records outside. They started playing instrumentals. They invited some people over to talk over the instrumentals, and thus the MC was born in both genres. Am I right in that?
To a point. To
Okay.
a point. It's I wouldn't say it started in Kingston though.
Okay. So
More
where
in
would you
rural
credit the
areas.
origin?
More in rural areas where like basically it's literally like okay, so hip hop that came about. Everyone probably knows the Cool Herc story.
Of
Guy from
course.
Montego Bay goes to New York, puts some sound systems outside. Dude comes out, starts freestyling, shit like that. Da 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 da. Hip hop. It's kind of the same with dancehall, but it wasn't like a sound system setup type vibes. It was more of a oh, there's a party,
Mm,
there's a beat on, grab the mic, do something.
yeah.
You get me? Kind of like the way grime started.
Yeah.
But it began in the rural areas, like what would I call it? Country. You get me? Just gatherings and people just like enjoying themselves and stuff. You get me? So all the original major artists in the genre, they were just people in the how would you say? Just people in the community that got popular for like grabbing the mic anytime
Yeah.
there's one around.
Mm.
And you get me?
Rapping on the corner, essentially.
Yeah, rapping on the corner type
Yeah.
vibes.
What would you say is, how does that turn into, how did we go from that to grime hall? What do you credit the most from dance? So you've already talked about how you take the melodies and counter melodies, and that's the main thing that you use in your instrumentation and your production whenever you're rapping. But what other aspects of dancehall do you try to carry over into this fusion? Because I know it extends like even beyond the music, like even in terms of content
The
or just
idea,
culture that you try to
the
pass on.
idea, the idea that the idea that it's more than just guns and sex and liquor and party.
Yeah.
Mm.
You get me? The idea that there can be variation, the idea that there can be a level of creativity on an international level rather than just staying local.
Hmm.
Get me? So that
Yeah.
pretty much that.
Of
You get me?
course.
Because like a lot of people right now, you think dancehall or you think Jamaican artist, then you think that, and you think, okay, a lot of people, you think Jamaican artists, and your mind goes, maybe your mind goes to a daggering session. Maybe your mind goes, maybe your mind goes to a fucking drive-by. Maybe your mind goes to some guy throwing some bitch 3 foot up in the air.
Yeah,
Them
It's
crazy
like
parties. Oh,
some,
super.
you get me?
yeah.
Shit
Yeah.
like that. I'm trying to
You
add
want
to that. So
you want
when
to
you think
add to what
Jamaican,
people associate with the
you
music.
get me? So when you think
Beautiful.
Jamaican,
Okay.
so when you think Jamaican, you think, you start
Mhm.
thinking, okay, creativity. There's edge. You start thinking, oh, there's open mindedness. You
Mhm.
start thinking there's, you get what I'm saying?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
There's wit and purpose behind what's actually said
It,
and things like that.
got you. Got you.
Exactly.
I wanted to. How do you end up getting into grime, being in the middle of Jamaica, and being originally in dancehall? Right, that's where you started. Am I
Mm.
correct in that? So
Yeah,
how do you
yeah.
end up transitioning into this fusion of grime? How do you hear about it? How do you end up incorporating it into the music?
It's there's this guy, this Jamaican born UK rapper.
Hmm.
His name's Cash. I used to I used to cut his homie's hair like way back. I was a barber, and this guy from Peckham in London, and I was his barber whenever he was here. He used to always tell me about this rapper named Cash. So a couple years later, I ended up meeting him, and I was like, "Yo, I know your boy, rah rah rah," and yeah, started linking because he was here shooting a couple of videos. He was here shooting some videos and shit, and he was using my guy. That's 300K, 300K, the one that did the visuals for Soda and Nobody.
Which were
So he was
insane.
doing a video with that guy. He was doing a video with that guy, and that's how we met. Meeting him, naturally over time you build connections with people, and he started explaining the UK scene to me. I think this was about 2014, 2015, and he introduced me to Skepta.
Hmm.
I found Skepta's music, and then it was down the rabbit hole from there.
Yeah.
And then I started like, yeah, I started like studying the whole like background of the genre, the whole come up, the sounds, the intricacies, the idea of, and like what it's meant for and where it's going or where it could go, all of that. And in studying it, I saw where I could use certain elements. I saw what elements will complement what I'm trying to do. So that's
Hmm.
how that happened.
That's super dope, and it's cool. You
That's
mentioned
cool.
earlier the way that the synths sound, and if I'm not mistaken, the synths come from because originally it comes from garage, and then Wiley comes along and kind of fuses it with rave music, and he creates
Exactly.
Esca, and then it turns into he starts incorporating island rhythms and stuff like that with the rave music, and then it turns into what we now know as grime. Esca was just another
Okay.
word for it. So I'm right in that, correct?
Yeah, definitely. You
See, it's so
work in
dope.
that Google, bro.
Yeah, man, I do my research, man. I try to stay educated on everything, man.
Straight
So
like that.
I think it's very important that in order to put out quality content, or even like I couldn't talk to you out of respect for you, I couldn't talk to you without doing my research. There's no way I couldn't delve into your
Yeah.
culture and understand it unless
without
without
looking,
talk to
without,
you, you know?
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I fuck with that. I fuck with that. I respect that.
Much appreciated. We've already briefly touched on the like how people think of dancehall when it comes to Jamaica and outside of it. How do you feel about people like Drake kind of picking it up and using it casually? Do you feel like it's disrespectful to pick it up for an album and then leave it alone and kind of half-ass do it, or
I mean,
that's me leaking my bias and my bad?
I'm a, I'm a, I'm a, Grimehall artist from Jamaica. I speak Patois, English, and Creole. If I were to do an album, if I were to do a reggaeton album
Yeah.
in Spanish for one album, and then just back to regular programming, what would you say about that?
So I like the fact that you noticed that I was Puerto Rican. You did some research too. But I would say that it's like it's whatever gets your money, but personally I feel it's disrespectful to the culture.
Hmm.